everyone, and thanks for tuning in to episode 41, the Matt O-Scale Trainz podcast. I am one of your hosts, Matt Rochford, and with me, as always, is my co-host,
Mazuzuha.
Matthew. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, man. We got an OG podcast tonight. I'm excited.
We do. Unfortunately, our friend Mr. Johnny will not be able to join us tonight, but that's okay. We definitely have an OG podcast tonight. Now, as far as the Matt podcast goes, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, YouTube, and Amazon Music. And again, as always, I like to bring up our Discord server. We are over 150 people. We got a lot of people in there talking and chatting and posting their photos, posting their videos of their layouts, asking for advice, asking how to fix this in their engine or on their rolling stock. We have people from the YouTube community. So a lot of the big ones, Jason Stuckert, who we had on last week, Chris, RBP Trainz, and just a slew of other folks too that are often show up in there and often show up in the actual voice chats, so you can talk to them. So again, it's free, doesn't cost you anything. All you have to do is click on that link in the show notes and agree to the terms that you're going to be a good person. That's all I want you to be, is a good person. And you will be let in and you can start chatting away. Now, as far as Matt merchandise goes, I have a coffee mug. We're going to be buying some shirts for ourselves soon. And if you would like anything with our logo on it, please feel free to check out the show note link. And if you use our code MAMPOD, you will get 10% off. Before we start, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Trainz.com. If you are looking for a great deal on used and new model railroading products and want top-notch service, then please head over to Trainz.com, where they have over 120,000 products with new ones added every day. You can also sign up for their newsletter to see newly listed and newly discounted products and receive advance notice of upcoming promotions. Now, I've been using Trainz.com myself as well as my co-hosts, and we highly recommend them to our listeners.
Now, if you're like us and you're always on the lookout for your next engine, join the Trainz Rewards program to earn points on every purchase and unlock future discounts. And if you're an avid collector and want first dibs on new items, sign up for the private card membership to get early access to new listings, earn 5 points per dollar spent, and unlock great benefits like no questions asked returns.
Now, guys, don't forget that you'll need parts to keep your engines and cars operating smoothly. And to do this, Trainz has a collection of 15,000 plus parts available on their website for any item you may need. And also, if you're interested in downsizing your collection or know someone who is unfortunately leaving the hobby, Trainz also buys collections. So head over to sellmytrainz.com to get a quote. And Trainz makes it easy to sell your collection.
Now, if you do plan on buying from them, please use our affiliate link, which is www.trainz.com/MMOP. You can also use our unique one-time promo code MMOP for $10 off a single purchase on the Trainz.com website. Now, let's talk about tonight's episode. Tonight on the podcast, we will be interviewing the artist behind so many wonderful and beautiful Lionel and model railroading inspired paintings, Angela Trotta Thomas. Angela, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Matt. I'm very happy to be here.
Yes, we have. You actually were kind of on our radar for a long time. We are both super huge fans of your work. Obviously, being close to Lionel and stuff like that. We see your artwork on engines and rolling stock and in paintings and in the catalogs. So we feel very, very blessed that you were able to take the time out and come on our humble podcast.
Oh, I'm honored. Thank you for having me. I really mean that. I appreciate it very much.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and just get started. But first, Matt Z, did you have anything you wanted to say?
No, I really thank you for coming on, Angela. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to this.
We will definitely have a good time.
Sweet. I can't wait.
All right. So, Angela, I'm just going to go ahead and just go down our set of questions for you. And just so you know, at least for the listeners, you know, a lot of this information can be found on our website. And obviously, we're going to let Angela plug her website and all her social stuff at the end. But just for our listeners, you know, it may be questions that they can already find, but we want to make sure our listeners get to know you here on the podcast. So if I ask some kind of redundant questions, I do apologize, but we just want to get to know you.
Fine, no problem.
Oh, awesome. All right. So, well, my first one is, how did you get started in painting?
Well, in painting, I actually don't ever remember not wanting to be an artist. I wanted to be an artist since I was a little girl. So I just painted and did a lot of drawing all through my, school years and that sort of thing. And when it came time to go to college, I went to school to major in art. And it wasn't until many years after I did work as an artist for many years, not doing Lionel artwork, but years later, I went back to college to get a master's degree, and that's where all the Lionel artwork started.
And what inspires you to paint the style that you do?
Well, I was in an illustration program, and of course, I always admired Norman Rockwell and many of the illustrators of that time era. And it just so happened that the way that I was always drawing, a lot of my professors would say to me, that they loved the way I did my drawings. They always looked kind of from the 50s and the 40s. And finally, one day I just sort of realized, you know what, maybe that's what I should be doing. And because that's what came out of me. That was what was very comfortable for me to draw. And it just so happened that it kind of meshed with the Lionel artwork.
Yeah, I think something you said that was kind of key is Norman Rockwell, which, obviously I'm not comparing you to Norman Rockwell, and everyone has their own unique style. But that is one of the things that kind of popped out for me because, with Norman Rockwell, you could just see like all of the character and emotions in all of his paintings, at least in the paintings of all of the people. And I totally see that in yours as well, which always makes me smile, especially like all of your holiday themed paintings with the kids and the smiles on their faces. And it just, you look at it and it makes you happy just looking at some of the paintings that you do.
That's always been my main focus from day one, was to capture the emotional attachment that so many collectors have with their Lionel Trainz, their memories of their first train when they got it, how old they were. Christmas was, really special time. Everyone had a layout at that, back in post-war era. And it was always a warm, comfortable, happy feeling. So I was really very much enthralled with the emotional attachment, and that's what I tried to capture in most of all my work with Lionel Trainz.
And how did you? I guess this is a good segue to that, though. So, how did you actually get in touch with Lionel to start doing artwork with them? Did they reach out to you? Did they see one of your paintings and say, "Wow," or did you actually start painting some model railroad inspired artwork, and then they saw that and said, "Oh, you know what? She would be perfect for some of our products"?
Well, we should start at the beginning. My husband is a Lionel train collector. So I've been around Lionel trains actually as a child. My brother had them. My father always put them up at Christmas time. But when I got married and we started a family, my husband got very into Lionel Trainz and became a very avid collector. So they were always part of our household. I always admired the old catalogs and all the artwork that was in the catalogs. back in, in the post-war era. I mean, they were beautifully illustrated and very evocative. And I felt that, that's the kind of art I would want to create. But the way I actually ended up in the doing Lionel Trainz was part of my master's program was to do a master's research project. And, kind of racked my brains. I had 2 small children. I was working on a master's degree. It was like, oh, how am I going to do this now too? And basically, because we're collectors, we had so much reference in the house. And my husband said to me one day, why don't you look into all the old artwork? And he said, nobody's doing anything like that. And it's such a collectible. And when I started realizing, he was right, he had a point there. And then he said the magic words, which were, I'll help you with it. And I thought, oh, that's great. Well, it ended up being great because he did help me with it, but I actually learned an awful lot. And then I became very enthralled with the Trainz myself. Not that I wasn't before, but much more so. I got to know, the different engines, the road names, the different kinds of engines. And basically, it was an education for me. But what came out of it was I did some artwork for my husband when I was working on this project. And we sent the original artwork to Nick Ladd, who at that time was a very recent past president of the TCA. Also was a marketing manager of John Wanamaker. So he had a lot of background in, marketing and that sort of thing. So we sat down with him one day and I did a few paintings for my husband, just pretty much as a thank you for all that he was helping me with. And when Nick Ladd saw the artwork, he said, you have to contact Lionel and you have to do something with this artwork. It just happened to be some of the early pieces were Christmas Memories and Window Wishing, which is probably the most iconic painting I ever did. So that leads me to how I ended up getting involved with Lionel. Once I decided that that's what we were going to do, all these projects, all this artwork with Lionel, my husband and I sat down and crafted a letter and found out that Dick Kuhn owned the company. So we addressed it directly to Dick Kuhn and put this letter in the mail. Well, this was back before digital and everything else. It was 30 years ago. Sent copies of the artwork and asked if we could have permission to be licensed to create some Christmas cards and prints using their Lionel Trainz as part of the main part, actually, of the subject matter. And I waited about a week after we sent it, and I called out to see, just to touch base and to see if they received the letter. And I got Dick Kuhn's secretary at the time and explained who I was. And she said, oh, you're the artist. He has those drawings in his briefcase. And she said, we were going to get back to you. She said, I'll get him to get in touch with you. So to make a long story short, he basically did contact me. They were so excited because no one had ever really approached Lionel to do anything like this. And the funny part I found was there are, airplane artists, there are train artists, there are car artists, but Lionel is such a collectible. It just seemed like a natural thing to, kind of like resurrect and create paintings about. And no one had ever done that. So I was licensed. They love the artwork. And that's how it began. And that was in 1990. So no. Yeah, it's more than 30 years now. It's growing really far, So basically that's how it started. And it just sort of took off from there. It's, we went to York. We sold so many prints. We were in shock at how many things happened so quickly after that. And then, I created many prints, early prints, that what I did was, and it was a wonderful thing for obviously for the collectors and for me. I kept records about every print I sold and who bought the print and the number of the print, because all the prints were numbered, signed and numbered. And when I would create a new print, I would send out a mailing and give them like 6 weeks before I was actually going to release the print, to let me know if they would like that print in the same number as their previous print. And that ended up being an incredible marketing tool that I didn't plan on being a marketing tool. I had no marketing background. Let me clarify that. It was one foot in front of the other, but people did respond, and they really, I have collectors out there that have collected every single thing I've done in the same number, which is, to my mind, I don't even know where they're putting them. That's it's probably on shelves somewhere, but that's okay.
I'm pretty sure it's hanging over their layout.
Well,
most likely,
probably,
because
I don't know. I have to have a big layout because I painted a lot of paintings. So that's how it began. That's how it started, and then it kind of grew from there.
I'm sure you brought back so many memories for folks that grew up like in the late 40s and the 50s because of the imagery that you use. I could imagine like being at that first York and walking around and just seeing your paintings and being like, oh, wow, like that was me. Like, you know, that kid looks like me, or that looks like my brother, you know, or something like that, or sister, you know.
Well, no, I can't tell you how many people said that was me. That was like these. In fact, I probably should paint a painting that says that was me, because that was said so many times. And I felt like, okay, I'm doing something right. I'm tapping into their memories. And, you know, again, I have a husband that's an avid collector. We have very close friends that are all avid collectors. And they've been my help and critics, and you know, they kind of tell me, you know, what's important, what's not important, what memory was, you know, really revered, which ones are not so much, and so I have a lot of really positive feedback, and it's very helpful for me to stay on track, no pun intended. So
well, you gave them a photograph, right? You know, so those for these folks that maybe their parents didn't take a lot of photos. Maybe they didn't have access to it. Maybe they just didn't have enough, you know, obviously money, you know, for to have stuff like that. But, you know, what you did was you created this photograph for them where they, you know, and that's exactly what they saw when they saw those. They were just like, oh my gosh, like, you know, and memories just last forever. Right. So, I mean, that's what I would do, you know, it's just take that, put it somewhere where I could just always look at it if I ever need to like have a good smile or something like that.
Well, basically that's it. I want them to be able to smile. And a lot of my paintings, especially the earlier ones, have a lot of detail in them. So there's a lot of new things that people see each time they really look at it. You know, I was very meticulous about wanting to get, you know, the furniture correct, the room settings correct, everything that kind of, you know, felt like that time period and that place and that time. There was a lot of research that I would do even before I would even start a sketch, just to make sure that it really, you know, rang true for collectors.
I'm curious, actually, the logistics behind when you do paintings for Lionel. Did you also have to get an okay licensing, like from the railroads too? If you like, let's say you made a painting that had Santa Fe on it, were you okay with just getting the okay with Lionel to do that, or did you also have to reach out like to the Santa Fe Railroad and get their okay to do that as well?
No, not for the toy trains, but if I wanted to really, you know, do the Union Pacific or whatever. And now here's the thing. If I'm going to reproduce the piece, then you need permission, like from Lionel and, you know, well, if I just paint a painting, I can paint any painting I want to paint. It's when I reproduce it that it becomes a point of licensing. And that's why I'm licensed directly with Lionel, because they already have all that in place.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm not into legalities of licensing and stuff like that. So it's definitely something I didn't know about it. And I'm sure it's something that our listeners probably didn't know about as well. So, my
problem.
curiosity got to me, and I was kind of like,
No,
how much is there, into, yeah.
Well, it can get confusing, but basically I'm licensed directly with Lionel Trainz, and they have been creating these trains for 120 some years. So they've already got that in place. So I basically just have to work directly with Lionel, which is wonderful. And they've been wonderful to work with.
Yeah. And I love not just your paintings are fantastic, but I also like the locomotives and the rolling stock that have your inspired artwork on them. There's
me too. Those are awesome.
Years back. I don't even know how many years I've been actually working with Lionel, where they have actually taken my artwork back and put it on product. Started out that it was all my earlier pieces that were put on a lot of the Christmas. They were most of the box cars. But as it's evolved in time, now, there's a whole product line that I work on. And it doesn't just focus on post-war anymore. Now it's got, I'm working on an iconic engine series right now. And it's new product and post-war product. It's whatever, when we speak together, what we decide we think would really, resonate with collectors. And a lot of it is new product as well. A lot of Santa Clauses and a lot of Christmas, because trains, especially for collectors, are all year round, but Christmas, everyone understands trains at Christmas time. So that's how we, I pretty much have a whole Christmas line if you go back through the catalogs of product, which I'm very proud of and very happy that it has turned into that. That wasn't a plan as well, but it just worked out that way.
Yeah, and for anyone interested listening right now, if you go on Lionel's website and just in the search engine, in the search box, if you just type Angela Trotta Thomas, you will get a very large response and hits on all of the stuff that she has created for or with Lionel, and they're all amazing, to be perfectly honest with you. So yeah, you should be.
I love working with them. I work directly most of the time with Megan, and we brainstorm, and when we come up with ideas, I just kind of visualize it. She trusts me when I visualize it, put it together and sketch it and send it out, and then I'll usually send the sketch ahead. And when it's approved, and luckily it is approved, I then will do the final painting.
Awesome. Yeah, we're looking forward to having Megan on here as well. We had Ryan on
right.
for their last catalog, and we would definitely like to have Ryan and Megan on as well, talking about future catalog. And probably hopefully on the new catalog that will be out in the summertime. So
right. Well, I'm working on some new things coming up next year. And I believe all last year's, the Blue Comet iconic engine piece and the New York Central iconic engine piece are out. They may be even being distributed now. If you're interested in those, yeah, probably. I don't know how. I think you probably want to work with a dealer to get those, but I think they're out. I think they've released them now.
Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely take a look at that. I think my favorite piece is from the 2018 Big Book. It was a Angela Trotta Lion Chief Plus Hudson, and it has that beautiful Santa Claus with the Trainz on the tender, and it's got these awesome colors, and it just pops. It just pops.
It's a cool engine. I'm excited. I was very excited about that. Really excited about that, and luckily it's done really well. And I get a kick out of going through Facebook and all, magazines and the websites and seeing all those engines on everyone's Christmas layout. It makes me feel really good. I really am happy about that.
And is most of your items like truly just very much Christmas inspired as well. I mean, obviously, when you think Christmas and you think Lionel, like that's like peanut butter and jelly, right? For
exactly,
us model railroaders. But like for you, was that always special as well? Like the Christmas time?
Oh yes, in our family, absolutely, absolutely. Now my husband did have a big layout, a year round layout. But then at Christmas time, we would do the whole layout under the Christmas tree. We still do. In fact, last year, we in our neighborhood, we have the HOA has a big Christmas extravaganza, and my husband Bob and good friend Joe Sadorf and Wayne Strobel built an incredible layout in our garage. And, we redid the whole garage. You wouldn't even know you were in a garage when it was finished. And the kids came around with horse and carriage, and they were let off and come in to see the layout. And we had candy canes and all that sort of thing. So that was really, instead of doing it under the tree this year, we did that. And I think this is becoming going to be a tradition in our neighborhood now. So because it was such a hit, we had so many kids families, I shouldn't say not just kids, but families coming to see the trains. And we were running, I think we ran four sets and had loads and loads of accessories. And we blew up one of my paintings as a big mural, a 4 foot by 8 foot mural, put it behind the layout. And it was magical. It really was. We had twinkly lights all over the place and Christmas tree. And I think that people just, even though they weren't into trains, just, I think we got a lot of new kids into trains that day. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And that's something I think we've been seeing in the last few years. And we'll definitely hit on that topic as well, because, I know, model railroading has had its ups and downs, but I would say probably in the last 4 or 5 years with the the huge spike in social media, especially along the lines of YouTube videos, there are just like so many people posting their new trains, their old trains, layout tips, and it is just kind of flooded social media platform. And I think it's done a fantastic job of really putting a fire under model railroading as a whole, because I'm seeing more and more people go into hobby shops and purchase Lion Chief sets, new sets for their kids, where right. In the past, it kind of fell off, like we had that kind of surge of we still do have a big surge of people on their phones and their iPads and stuff like that. But, I think these model railroading companies, especially Lionel, have really caught on to social media. And then also on the flip side, people have been using social media to promote the platform. And we've seen just so many people in the last few years, and not just folks, older generation folks, but like young kids, like people in their 20s and even their teens, like just get excited about model railroading. And, I think that's a really good thing for the hobby.
Well, I think that Lionel has really realized all that and really, really upped their game as far as technology and social media. And let's face it, this is a techie generation, and they're very, very, very tuned into that. And so many of the products now have so many more bells and whistles, if you will, which I think is really part of what's getting the younger generation as well. I think it's going to live on. I really do.
Yeah, I hope so. I think, and I'm going to quote Johnny. Johnny's not here, but I'm going to give credit where credit's due. And I think Johnny said, like, this is, we're in like a model railroading O-scale renaissance right now.
Right.
And
I think so. I do. We're holding on to the old love and attachment, but we're also giving them the technology that these kids are used to now. And, everything's done on their phone and, iPads and everything else. I mean, it's just, you kind of have to move with it and move with the way the kids are moving,
that speaks like a million words. I'm telling you right now, because that's the thing. It's just people don't like change, right? I mean, people don't like to change. Some people are very fit in their ways that they do things, and no, that's not the way we do it. Like, this is the way I do it. I love this way, and that's perfectly fine. But in order to, for a company like Lionel and all the other, O-scale manufacturers out there, you really need to adapt to what the kids are doing now, because look, like the kids now, this is the demographic right now that's going to purchase your products, and they're going to be, a lot of them are getting to that age where they're becoming decision makers, and they're getting full-time jobs, and they're going to spend their money. Well, you know what? Make them spend it on model railroading on O-scale and Angela Trotta Thomas paintings as well.
Well, you know what I have found is that a lot of people that are older, like our age, that we're very much into the post-war era, are coming back now after they've collected my prints over the years and asking me to do private commission work with their favorite engine or whatever the case may be, them as a child. And I do take on some private commissions. I've been really, really busy with a lot of work, and I'm kind of backed up now, but I try to get, a few private commissions in there, here and there, just because it becomes very much a more personal thing. As far as future, we'll see if kids want me to, as they grow older, paint them with their iPads in their hand. We'll have to see if that comes to fruition. I'm not sure.
Gotcha.
But basically, it's just evolved into many different places that I never anticipated in the beginning.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the private commission paintings, because that was definitely something I was going to bring up for you and have you talk about it. But you've already checked that box, it seems.
Well, if you have another question about it, feel free. I'll elaborate. So.
Well, so what is why don't we just dive into it? That way, if people are interested, if our listeners are interested, obviously we'll get your contact info and everything will be in the notes, and we'll do it at the end. But like, for you to take on a commission painting, like, what is the time frame in there, and what needs to be set up in the beginning by the originator, the one who has the idea? Like, how does that process work?
Well, basically, if there's something that they have in mind, obviously they should email me first, and we can correspond and set up a time that's convenient for both of us to talk. And I'll give you my email later on as well. I think that it depends on a couple things. I need to have really good reference, and I will walk them through reference if I need them to photograph something, or if it's from older pictures, I need them to be clear, because it doesn't work very well when they're not. So what I do then is I'll have them send me, some of the reference, and then I will tell them if I can work from that. Then if we do work from that, we'll discuss a time frame. Time frames, I'll tell you, they used to be 6 months. Now they're more like 9 months to a year, maybe even a little longer, because I do a lot of work for Lionel, with the project and with the products. And I also show in a gallery, Reinert Fine Art in Charleston, South Carolina, and I do a lot of painting for the galleries. So I have a lot on my plate. So what I do is I kind of fit in a private commission here and there when I can. I like to give it the time that it deserves to be right, but I haven't had any problem. Most people really understand, and they're willing to wait. And usually, almost always, and pretty much, they're so happy when they get it. So it finally, that I'm forgiven for if it took longer than it should have, if you know what I mean. So, but I do like and really enjoy doing the private commissions when I have the time and when I have the right reference. And the best thing to do, if anybody has ideas or questions, to feel free to email me anytime. My email is just my name, angelatrottathomas@gmail.com. And we'll go from there and see if it will work out.
Yeah, and we'll definitely have all of that information in the podcast show notes as well. So if people can't write it down fast enough, or they have a bad memory like me, it'll be right there as a something you just copy and paste into an email, and you can email Angela and maybe get that favorite painting or something that you've been wanting to get.
Well, I'm working on a private commission now of for a collector that has. It's not really his memory. He collects rare pieces, and he just wants kind of almost like a still life of the rare pieces. A few of the rare pieces. So I do a lot of different things, and ironically, a painting that I did and submitted to the National Oil and Acrylic Society Best of America small work show just got an award of excellence, and it's actually one of my train pieces, which I was really delighted about. It's called All American, and it's available as a print as well on my website. But the original is showing in a gallery in Birmingham, Alabama right now, and what I guess I'm trying to say is, even though I cross over a lot, my train art becomes my gallery art and vice versa, so it's good. I'm really happy with the way that the train art has been embraced in the art world as well.
Your train art has definitely come in many forms. I believe I have a puzzle of yours, which is the one with it's got like the GG1, the Pennsylvania GG1 at the bottom. It's got like the Santa Fe's on top, and I think it has some train masters and some
that puzzle,
F units in the middle. Yeah,
it's called well-stocked shelves, and that puzzle has sold so incredibly well. I think they have it out now as a 2,000 piece or something. I mean, a lot of pieces, many, many more than I would ever sit down and take the time to put together. But a lot of people obviously really enjoy it. That's probably the best-selling puzzle that we've done.
Yeah, I love it too. So
thank you.
That top shelf, well-stocked shelf, that is my favorite painting you've done, period. That I remember seeing that one in the catalog and thinking, oh my God, this is just fantastic. Honestly, it's a post-war lover's dream, to be honest with you.
Well,
it's fantastic.
Thank you. And you know what? That was a real fun painting to do. I really had a good time doing that. I actually had my husband, who does a lot of woodworking, build me 3 shelves, actually like a little cabinet. I set the lighting up and everything else, pulled all these trains and pieces. He collects a lot of the accessories and that sort of thing. So I was able to, intersperse, the coal bags and all that sort of stuff with the engines. And I set it all up on the shelves that he made for me. And that was what I worked from. So that was a lot of fun to do. And then I was really delighted when Lionel decided to turn those into the boxcars. That whole painting is now 3 boxcars. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but ironically, the artwork fit perfectly on the side of a boxcar, and that was not planned that way. So if you ever get a chance to see the well-stocked boxcars, you'll see what I mean.
Cool. I believe I've seen those too, and those are awesome.
Thank you. I'm looking at one right now in my studio.
Nice.
Well, I have one more question, and then I'm going to pass it over to Matt Z. Okay. And I'm going to ask a question that I ask everybody. Nobody is immune from this question, Angela. Not even you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
What do you have a favorite railroad, and why?
Oh boy. Well, I would. Okay, I'm going to take it from the toy. It's not from the railroad. It's from the toy Lionel train aspect, because that's more what I know. I would absolutely have to say the Santa Fe, and I probably have painted that engine, that F3, so many times that I probably could paint it, in my sleep. And it's just it always is fun to paint. I love the colors. I love how it's shiny, like the silver is shiny. And I just love that engine. I would have to say it's probably that one.
Well, that was the correct answer. So
Okay.
No,
You get brownie points at Matt for that one.
Okay.
yeah, I'm a huge Santa Fe guy. So obviously anything you would have said would have been fine. And to your point in the beginning, I mean, I think our favorite railroads are definitely derived from the model railroading aspect of things, right? Like,
Right.
Look, we're some of us are model railroaders, some of us are model railroaders and rail fans as well. I'm both. I enjoy model railroading and the real ones as well. But my love for these railroads that I have are definitely come from the model railroading aspect of them.
Right.
And yes, Santa Fe is.
Mine come from that probably totally. So
I gotcha.
But yeah, it's the Santa Fe, I'd have to say for sure.
Awesome. All right. Well, Matt Z, I will pass the mic over to you, sir.
All right.
Yeah, thanks,
good.
Matt.
Mm-hmm.
So I have questions more related to specific pieces. So I'm going to try to keep this as brief as I can. But the first one I want to talk about right off the bat is something that Matt and I, we looked over this before we started tonight, and it was the catalog of the 2002 volume 1. And that one had the image of the New York City Fire Department post 9/11. And
yes.
that painting is fantastic. I was just curious on what kind of inspired you to do that and what was kind of the thought process with that.
Well, that was at the time, Tom Blishock, who was a very good friend of mine, was working with Lionel during that time period. And I had done quite a bit of artwork for him, many paintings for him, because he's an avid collector as well. And ironically, he lives in Arizona, but he was in New York when the towers were hit. So he was extremely emotional. I mean, we were all emotional, but he was right there and saw everything. And he contacted me and he said, you need to do something and you need to do something and I'll help you. Let's brainstorm. So anyway, it ended up becoming that painting. And what I did is he bought the original painting, and that money I spent to have all the prints printed. And I bought all the cartons and everything. I paid for everything that I needed to do to release it as a print. There were 750 prints of that print. And then the advertising, I did a lot of advertising for it too. So it covered all that, which was great. He got the painting. And then what we did is we released the prints. The prints did extremely well. I sold them out. So all the proceeds, every bit, went to the Ladder 4 engine house in New York City for they lost the most of their firemen at that time. It was 15, I think, was out of their house. So what I did I did the pencil drawing too. It was a very detailed pencil drawing, and then Dick and Linda Kuhn bought the pencil drawing, and the proceeds from that, I framed 15 artist proofs and gave them all to the families as well. So we raised about $55,000 and brought it into New York, and were able to present it to the firehouse, which was probably the most moving thing that I think I've done with my artwork ever. It still chokes me up to this day.
That's super inspiring. Very inspiring.
That's really quite the story.
Thank you.
Yeah, that I saw that and I'm like, wow. I mean, that is the painting alone takes your breath away. And it's just that's a fantastic story.
It was
great.
a time period that everyone, I think, felt they wanted to do something and they didn't know what to do. And the only thing that I do is I do art. So it was, what can I do? And then Tom, made it happen. He let it, with the purchase of the painting, I was able to pay for everything to get it out there, and really pleased with what we were able to, raise with that. I could have never written a check for that much money, so it was a good thing in a bad time.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like you said, you don't know what to do, so you do what you can. And that was really a fantastic thing.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yep. So Johnny had something he wanted me to bring up. So Johnny, here's your plug. And that I'm just going to read this to you, and you can, Matt, we can do whatever you like with this. But he said, I remember she and her husband built a replica hobby shop in her basement with a life-size mural of kids looking into the window. Yep. And he wanted you to talk about that a little bit.
Well, probably the biggest memory that I have heard from all you guys over the years has been Christmas time looking in the window at the Trainz when the new Trainz came out, the Christmas display. So when we were deciding on what to do with the layout, I have always loved the Christmas layouts and the colors and the sparkles and, the snow and all that sort of thing. So we decided to do a layout like that. And then it kind of just grew. My husband said, well, why don't we make it like an old hobby shop? And we had an old Coke machine, and we had the display. We had an old cash register. It was very cool. It was a really neat layout. And I thought, well, if we're going to do that, then this was in our basement. And I said, why don't I paint a painting of kids looking in the window at the layout? So I did it on a 4x8 piece of plywood. And then we actually went to an antique store, bought an old door and with a big window in it. And we actually, built the door into the wall as well. And I painted, the door open, and I painted a child walking in the train room. So when you walked into the train room, you walked in from the back, and the front of the train room was actually the trade store, had a big window with 3 or 4 kids in it, and a door with another child walking in. And then and it was all around the layout. So the kids were looking in at the layout. That's how that evolved.
That's really cool. I see you're kind of doing a model of that with the gifts and hobby shop, Christmas time hobby store that Lionel's coming out with.
Yes.
That's really cool. I like that a whole lot.
Thank you very much. I like working on different pieces too, not just the boxcars. I like that we're experimenting with different pieces, and we're going to do some different things coming up next year as well.
Nice. And I mean, like you said, your products go all over the place. I mean, I did what Matt said. I searched up Angela Trotta Thomas on Lionel's site, and you got flags, you got puzzles, you got, obviously your trains themselves, cars and boxcars and hoppers and cabooses and all that sort of thing. So, I mean, basically whatever you like, you got even billboards too. And
right.
Basically you name it, it's there.
Came out too. And they're kind of cool because I think there's artwork on both sides, so you can kind of switch them up.
Cool. Yeah.
So we're always constantly trying to, come up with a new idea, but it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. It's become sort of my legacy, and I'm grateful to be able to say that I worked so much of my career with Lionel Trainz. It's been a very good relationship and a really good time. And
would you call that a Lionel legacy? Little train humor.
Sure, if you want to.
We're all train nerds here, so we like.
That's all right. Believe me, I understand. I live with one. I know.
That one was for Bob. So
yeah, okay, I'll tell him. He's probably in the other room listening right now. Anyway. No, I'm not. He said.
That's funny. That's funny. All right. And then I just had one more. I think that's all I have is and this is probably on your website, so I do apologize, but you're talking about the prints and the commission work. What does that kind of cost? Like a ballpark figure?
The prints range from, I think they're $199 to $250, and they're a very limited number. There are only 50 prints of each image, and excuse me, they're canvas mounted on an actual canvas, and then they're backed with felt, so you can frame them, or you don't have to frame them, and you can hang them, and they look great either way. So a lot of the times people don't even want to get into framing, and these don't need to be framed. They're finished right on the sides. They're about probably an inch to an inch and a half deep on the sides. They look really great. And then the private commissions they range and depends. I would say they probably are started about $3,000 and depends how much, how big of a painting it is, where it goes from there, what I do with them. If there's figures in them, how many. It's I try to be really fair, but I pretty much I know how long these things take me now, and I kind of can, if I know like a steam engine's a little bit more time than an F3, that sort of thing. So I can pretty much guesstimate, but I would say in the $3,000 range for the private commission work.
All right, cool. That way, if you want something done, customized, you have that price. And if you want to just buy something off,
right, there's something.
Off your site,
I try to have
that.
something for everyone, and the prints are much more reasonable. And by the way, the prints are all signed and numbered. So there's 50 prints. They're artist proofs. They're signed by me. So they usually take about probably more like 3 weeks to ship out, because I actually order them as they're ordered. And then when I get them, I sign them and ship them out. But they're all hand signed by me.
Sweet. Now, this is just for kicks and for my my just knowledge. Could you pick any print that you made, and could I have it? Like, could I get that 2002 catalog cover, or is that something you don't do?
That one, I have the prints that are available because they're already in sequence with the printing company and everything else. So that one I don't do, because that one I kind of feel like I don't want to make a profit on that particular piece. So that piece I've not released as a print other than the original run on that. You might be able to find that on the secondary market, if you go into even if you look on any eBay or whatever, they sometimes they do show up, but that one's not available. Not everything is available as a print. So if you wanted to see what was available, you can go on my website, and then there's a link, on one of the pages that says Lionel Prints. Click on that. And then there's all the images. And then if you click on the image, all the information, pricing and everything, and another click on the bottom. It's a lot of clicks. But anyway, takes you to an order form. So that's basically how the prints work. The private commissions is obviously, time, and we would have to talk. We'd have to communicate. There's a much more involved process.
Okay. All right, cool. Just was curious on that. I think that's all I got, Matt.
I'm going to have to find myself a Santa Fe print, I think.
Oh, there's lots of those.
He's probably looking right now.
No shortage of Santa Fe.
Find those for sure.
So, yeah. I like the one with the trolley, too. I'll be honest with you. I'm a huge trolley and streetcar subway guy. So.
Oh, I love the trolleys. Yeah, they're some of my favorites for sure. Yeah.
Have you ever thought about actually? You know what? Sorry, everybody. We're going to talk about subways.
I was going to ask about
a little bit of a running joke. A little bit of a running joke on our podcast. We subways are kind of that different little animal when it comes to O scale, but it's kind of how it was the catalyst for actually starting this podcast. So we enjoy talking about it. But have you ever thought about doing something along like an old subway, like an old Chicago or New York, like subway scene?
I haven't. What? I never say never. I don't. You know what I mean? With toy trains or with
toy
real?
Toy trains.
With toy trains.
Yeah, I know it's not really.
I haven't, but you know what? It's a pretty good idea. So. You never know. I might look into that. We'll see. We'll see what. Yeah,
I know that subways aren't really a post-war thing. Obviously, trolleys kind of are, but I was just curious.
Well, I'm not tight. I mean, anymore. I do so many things. Like I do new pieces. I do everything now. It doesn't that doesn't matter. I strictly stick to Lionel, but I do all the errors. I've done a lot in standard gauge as well. Many pieces with that. So, no, I'm never going to say never. And you've given me an idea I'll think about for sure.
Awesome.
Cool.
Also, is there anything you could tell us perhaps that maybe any spoilers or maybe some really cool little info on maybe what you're working on or something coming up in the future for you?
Well, with Lionel, not yet.
Okay, that's all right.
We're not finalized yet.
Yeah, that's all good.
But I just continue. Not right now. I basically have to. I don't do a lot of pieces that aren't already commissioned anymore because they're either going to be for the Lionel pieces or they're going to be for a client. So I don't really have anything going right now that's like exciting to talk about. Unfortunately, I work continuously. I will though. Lionel will make their final decision soon, and then I'll start, but not yet.
Understood. That's perfectly fine.
All good.
I'm not trying to be evasive. That's the truth.
No, we don't. We're not here to break NDAs or give like inside information. Like we just figured if there was something you wanted to bring up, you're more than welcome to talk about it.
And I would if it was finalized for sure.
Gotcha. Well, we appreciate that.
No problem.
Well, I don't think I have anything else. Matt, did you have anything else?
I don't. I just this is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this one. Really big thanks, Angela, for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I couldn't be more pleased with the response that I've gotten over the years from all you guys. It means a lot to me that what I have created taps your heartstrings the way it does, and I'm grateful. I'm very grateful. It's been a good ride. I'm not finished with it yet. It's been good.
Gotcha. All right. Well, like all of our guests, we want to make sure that you get to speak out and tell us about all your social media, all your shout outs. The floor is yours. Go right ahead.
I'd love for everyone to follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and my social media name is Angela Trotta Thomas Artist. And I constantly post on both those forums, and you'll see a lot of new pieces as they come out. So that would be terrific if you join that. Also, if you'd like to see everything that's available as far as my prints that I have out and a lot of older artwork, you can visit my website, which is angelatrottathomas.com. And if you have any questions, or if you want to talk about possible private commission or whatever you'd like, my email is angelatrottathomas@gmail.com. I try to keep it simple. So if you can remember my name, you can probably find me.
just Google Angela Trotta Thomas and you'll get everything you need. But no, we're going to make sure all of that information will definitely be in the notes for this particular episode. So again, if people, if you want to kind of get something you can copy and paste, it'll definitely be there for you.
Okay, terrific.
Matt Z, where can people find you?
You can find me on YouTube under Matt-Trainlover9943. I'm on Facebook under the same name. I'm on Instagram as Mats.hobbies. And like always, you can find me on the Discord server, Matt talking, fixing something, whatever it be, just having a good old time in there. So definitely be sure to check that out.
And you can find me on YouTube at West Chicago Model Railroad. I'm also on Facebook under the same name, and I'm also on Instagram at WCMRR. Now, we want to obviously, again, give a big thanks out to Angela for coming on our podcast. We also want to thank all of our listeners out there, obviously, because we do this because model railroading inspires us, and you also inspire us to keep making these episodes. So we really do appreciate everybody who has come onto the Discord, who's left comments. And because of that, we're going to have a new section and we're going to have a listener email section. So for anybody out there that's listening to this now, if you have a question for us or a comment on our next episode, we're going to have a kind of a listener segment, and we'll read all the email that's sent to us. So if you want to email us, it is matt@gmail.com. That is also in the show notes. So if you didn't get that, you can just look in the notes, and that email address will be there. And just let us know what you're thinking. Give us a comment, give us a question, and we'll try to answer it on the podcast for you. So with that said, I want to wish everybody a wonderful night.
Take good care, everyone.
Thanks so much.